Well, thank you all for joining us. Again, my name is Sierra. I'm with Line Leader by Childcare CRM, and we are honored to have Prerna Richards on today, who's the CEO and founder of Together We Grow, as well as an early childhood consultant and behavior coach. She consults for the National Association for the Education of Young Children here in the United States, but she also does work all across the world. Like she said, she does some work down in Australia also, and we're really excited to have her on today. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Sierra. Welcome, everyone. So happy that you made it. Let's get this party started. You made the time, you're on time, and I would love to respect that. So thank you, thank you, thank you for joining. And so, this is an informal conversation. I was telling Sierra earlier, I don't really do trainings and lectures. They're so boring. So this is the end of our working day here in Texas. And I'm sure some of you are also feeling the same thing at the end of the day. So this is an interactive space. We talk and you can talk through chat. Sierra is going to keep an eye on it. Feel free to ask questions and clarifications, and we'll have a real good conversation while we're here together. And our time together is very short. It's like 30, 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Like it's hardly anything. So I wanted to give you content and value for the time that you're here. So this is kind of our guideline of what we'll discuss. We'll talk about why challenging behaviors are happening, and we'll talk about the role of the leaders. My guess is you guys are owners and directors. If you don't mind putting it in the chat, what role do you have in EC? Are there some educators joining, or is it just mostly administrators, owners, and directors joining? That's always helpful to know what your role is. And I will leave you with practical strategies to meet the needs, the emotional needs of the grown-ups as well as the children. Yay, so we have some teachers as well. So, okay, we have some mixed. All right, so I will hit both sides. I will talk about what your role as a leader. And, I like to think of a leader as a teacher because you are also a leader in the classroom. So it's not just your title, right? All right, fabulous. Thank you for doing that. So before we get started, I would just like to ask you, how many of you are doing deep breathing in your program? Is this something that you do just when stress happens, whether for the grown-ups or for the children? Or do you do it throughout the day and you have systems in place to not forget? So the children are breathing, the grown-ups are breathing. Tell me in the chat if this is something that's already part of your structure or part of your philosophy. And while you're doing that, I want to just remind us why deep breathing, the science behind the deep breathing. So I'm sure you'll agree. Yeah, so you have it. Okay, you have some options, but based on a few chat that's coming in, it's not happening every day. Here's why you need to do this. It changes how we process stress. We're all living in a very hectic and stressful work environment. More and more keeps getting added to our plate. Would you agree? Like, no matter our role, I feel like more and more stuff keeps getting added to our plate, and sometimes we don't even have a plate. It's like a buffet. There's a buffet table and the plate is lost. So I read some research over COVID. It was actually 2021 when I read this research, and it resonated with me so much because my jam is the brain. Like, I want to learn more and more about the brain. The more I learn about the brain, the more I feel like I don't know enough. So this research was talking about how our lifestyle is becoming more demanding and more hectic, and how we're not, as a human race, globally, we're not taking deep breaths enough. We're doing shallow breathing, and we are holding stress in a way that we've never previously done. So breathing, they said, was one very natural way of reducing the blood pressure and reducing the stress hormones, but you have to do it consistently. So one of the first things I do when I start coaching a school for behaviors is we become a breathing program. And a breathing program means that you have it's scheduled throughout the day. So 2 breathing breaks before lunch, and then 2 breathing breaks after lunch before you close for the day and send them home. And when that breathing break happens, anyone in the hall, anyone in the office can just say brain break, and everybody gets away from your computer, and the children join in, and everybody joins in, and you have fun with it. And then it drastically changes your atmosphere, and you can go from stressful to joyful. So here's your tip number one. I promised you practical tips. Here's your tip number one to change your program from stressful to joyful. Become a breathing program and have fun with it. So I have two examples right here, smell the flower and roller coaster. Of course, smell the flower is a very ancient, famous one. Everybody's doing it, blow the petals, but I want to give you something new and different. So let's do a heart breathing. We're going to put our attention on whoever comes into our attention. Maybe they need some love. Maybe you do. So send yourself some love or send it to whoever. Take a deep breath. Here we go. In through the nose, fill up your lungs, pause and hold, and exhale through your mouth. So all the heat comes out of your body. This circulates, this cools down the body. Here we go. So we need 3 deep breaths. The second one, we can do the roller coaster because I want to give you ideas. So the roller coaster is just going up the roller coaster and down. Let's take a deep breath in. And the last one, let's do a square breathing. So it actually wakes up your brain because your hand is going up and your breath is going in. Here we go. Well, I'm feeling alert. Are you? I am ready for taking on this day. Let's do this. Okay, great. Thank you, Sierra, for joining in. I hope whoever's listening joined in. Okay, I have a question for you guys. What percentage of the brain development happens during the first 5 years, from birth to 5? What do you think? What percentage? The programs we are serving is early childhood. We are serving predominantly birth to 5, maybe to 8, maybe to 11. But what percentage of brain development happens in the first 5 years? Let me see some answers coming in. Take a guess. It's a safe space. Whatever the number comes in. Sierra, what do you think? Take a guess.
Oh, goodness. I was going to say 80. 80%. Okay.
Well, Allison, okay, 70, 75, 60. Lovely. Okay, so here's the deal, guys. 90%.
Wow.
90% of the brain is getting wired birth to 5. Okay, what does that even mean? If you hear this statement, what does that even mean? That means that the grown-up you're going to become, the person you are today, your foundation was laid birth to 5. That means that all the life skills that become part of your character were laid, that foundation was laid birth to 5. And if the people who are working with young children don't know that, then tough on that baby because they didn't get the best start in life, because you do better when you know better, right? So the work we do is very important. The work we do matters. I like to call early childhood educators brain architects. We are brain architects. The work we do is so important, so critical. How does that make you feel about your job now? Like whatever your role is, knowing that you're touching lives for the rest of their life, how does that make you feel? Right? It's important. Okay, so let's check in. What types of challenging behaviors are you noticing in your program? You signed up for a webinar that had the word challenging behaviors in it. What types of behaviors are you noticing? I'm sure they're typing. Self-regulation, yeah. Lack of self, not being able to regulate, more emotional distress. Yes, yes, we are noticing that over here too. Lots of challenging behaviors are happening. Yeah. So my guess is uncontrolled anger outbursts, they're violent. Yep, that's happening. So outbursts are happening. Angry love, I like to call that angry love. Lots of angry love is happening, impulse control doesn't exist. Yep, okay, so we are seeing the same thing. So I have come up with an acronym, guys. This is your tip number 2. I don't know how many tips I'm going to give you, but I'm going to try to number them as I go because I lose track. DSD. I created an acronym for my brain to remember stuff. If you don't like the results you're getting right now, the only way to change the behaviors is to do something different. DSD. Do something different. And that's the only way to get different results. Behaviors are increasing right now. Stress is increasing right now. And there's a direct correlation with how grown-ups are stressed out and then the kids are stressed out. The two are connected. And I don't know if you know this or not, but this is really cool fun fact. Stress and joyful learning don't exist in the same space. If your teachers are stressed out and your kids are stressed out, there is no learning happening. There is no brain engagement happening. Did you also know that the emotion of joy is the emotion of learning? We learn when we are joyful. Did you know that? Like, how cool is that? Learning can only happen when you're enjoying. Learning can only happen when you're joyful. So our goal is to go from stressful to joyful. One classroom at a time, one program at a time. It will not change by itself, guys. You have to do something different. And my hope is that our conversation today, I'm going to give you practical strategies to go from stressful to joyful. This is the work that I do as a behavior coach. Here's a really honest truth, guys. You know this, the owners and directors know this, but everybody should understand this. The implications of challenging behavior are real. Our staff get turned out. They just get stressed out. They leave the field. Staff turnover happens. Staff burnout happens. Financial drain happens. Did you know that this is really a cool fact? Every time you have to hire a new teacher, you're losing $3,000. If in the last year you have lost 4 teachers, you have lost $12,000. This is real. Many teachers are leaving the field because they can't take the behaviors anymore. And of course, then you have unhappy parents, and the parents are very stressed out too. And many of us on this call are parents. I'm a grandparent of 4. I'm a parent of 2. You know, we have dual roles. So let's take a look at what could be contributing to some of the behaviors. And what I've identified as I've been doing the coaching in the different schools, these 5 reasons keep bubbling up. It could be a combination of these reasons. It could be just one of those reasons. So you really have to look at your program with fresh eyes. What is the underlying cause of this? Is it your environment? So take an environment in the classroom that is sensory overload. I've gone to classrooms where there's music playing in the background all the time. Brain development doesn't happen like that. It is too much, too much. Sometimes the classrooms are plastered with so many things that you can't rest your eyes on any plain wall. You have to do a sensory audit. So this is tip number 3. Walk into your building like you've never done it before. Whether you're the owner, director, teacher, it doesn't matter your title. It does not matter. Walk into your program and do an sensory audit. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you smelling? What is the sensory environment? And recognizing that children will act out if they're overstimulated, understimulated, and your staff will also act out. Sometimes even the bright lights, when we have the tube lights, I don't know if you have that in Australia, but in America over here, a lot of the classrooms have tube lights and it's bright. It's not very soothing. And children can't tell you, that's too much, turn it off, it's too much, but they act out, right? So children don't say, I'm having a stressful day, they act out. Behavior is a form of communication. Write that down somewhere, don't forget it. All behavior has meaning, and behavior is a form of communication. What is their behavior telling us? What are they trying to communicate? They may not have the vocabulary, but behavior is a form of communication for the grown-ups and for the children, by the way. So curriculum could be the other reason. Is it not developmentally appropriate? Is it not engaging? Is it too challenging? Is it too boring? Is it too easy? Is it just not engaging the brain? Schedules, are we changing them too often? Are we shifting from inside outside? We're sending them to extracurricular, where we're clean up, line up, do this. Like, are we doing too much of this? Remember, kids, the children's pace is much slower than our pace, right? So that could be stressing them out. I had a teacher who, one of the homeworks that I do, by the way, I don't know what tip number we are on, but this is a very valuable tip. You should know your triggers. It's very, very important that teachers and administrators make a list of what triggers you. Once you know your trigger, you can have a plan to manage it. I had the teachers do this homework, and one of the teachers said to me, I realized that the schedule was my trigger. And I said, what does that mean? The schedule has to be followed. You have to do it every day. She said, but Prerna, I was rushing the kids. Come on, hurry up, snack time, finish up the circle time, finish up the outdoor time. Like I was constantly getting them to the next. And I was getting really stressed out. So I was impatient and snappy at the kids. So I said, what did you do? She said, well, I stopped looking at the clock. We did the routine. We had our rhythm. We knew what came next. I just didn't stress about it. Right? So once you know your trigger, you can come up with a plan for it. The social climate of your program. Is it a lot of correcting happening or a lot of connecting happening? I was in a school today doing an assessor visit, and majority of the conversations the teachers were having was correcting or directing. There was no connecting. Connecting sounds different, correcting sounds different, right? When you're connecting with a child, you listen, you ask. When you're connecting with your team members, you listen and you ask. When you're correcting, you just label all the things that are wrong with them. What is the social climate? How are people connecting with each other? Controlling adults. This is a big, big one. Grown-ups, I've come up another acronym, by the way, SOS. The reason behaviors are happening in our programs is because SOS. SOS stands for sit still. There's a lot of sitting happening. If you're a leader, I really want you to look at your program with fresh eyes. Do you hear the teachers constantly saying, sit on your bottom, sit on your pocket, sit on the carpet, sit on the chair, sit, 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 sit. Human beings are not designed to sit this much. Grown-ups can't even sit this much, but we make kids do all kinds of things that we would never have the kids, grown-ups do. The S stands for sitting and the O stands for obedience. All day long, I keep hearing teachers saying, put your listening ears on, put your listening ears on, pay attention, catch a bubble, listen, listen, listen. So we want complete obedience. And the last one is be silent. It's my turn to talk. It's my turn to talk. Only the grown-up is allowed to talk. The children are not allowed to talk. Guys, this is why the behaviors are happening. Which of these resonates with you? Is any of this resonating with you? Put it in the chat. What do you think may be the underlying cause in your program? Let's see. What do you see? I'm going to keep us moving because of this time being very short, Sierra. It is a very short time. I talk normally for hours on this.
I know. Thank you for condensing it down for us.
That's fine. I'm hoping this is helpful because it's really condensed. Okay. So what do our teachers, what do our team members need to know to make a difference, right? DSD is what I said. How can you do something different? Know your triggers and know and understand about brain development. When you know better, you do better. And the other one is really we need to understand that behavior is a symptom and it's communicating something. So did anybody write? I have not been paying attention. If anybody wrote, if any of the 5 resonated with you. I want to move us along to symptoms. Since I'm talking about symptoms, I want to go deeper with what type of symptoms am I talking about? So if you remember, there are 3 parts to the brain. There's a survival brain, which is our scared brain. And the survival brain has one purpose, to keep us safe. If I feel insecure, if I feel attacked, if I feel scared, I'm in my scared brain. And these 7 are the symptoms of a scared brain. So symptoms is not the cause. The cause is the scared brain. The symptoms is the behaviors is what tells us they're in their scared brain. Let me know if I need to pause for anything. Otherwise, I'll keep moving forward. So the 7 symptoms are fight. They fight with their hands. They fight with their words. They kick, they hit, and a lot of fighting is happening because they're scared. The other one is flight. They take off. They run out of the classrooms. They run around the furniture. You can't catch them. You go to catch them and they take off because they're scared. Then the other one is freeze. This one is a big trigger for the grown-ups, I've noticed, because even today there was a teacher asking a child, Why did you do that? What did you do that? Why did you throw the rocks? And the child is just doing this. And the teacher's like, answer me. If you don't answer me, I'm going to have to call your dad. Like, answer me. What did you do? That child is not being defiant or rude or insubordinate. They're scared. That's what a natural reflex of scares look like. You freeze. Then it's frightened. You physically look frightened. You cry. You don't make eye contact. Fibbing is another one. They tell little white lies. Little white lies. Did you do this? Did you hit? Did you bite? No. You know they did it. They know they did it. Everybody knows who did what, but they're scared. And then I've heard grown-ups say, don't you lie to me. Don't you lie to me, because they're getting triggered. You see, when you're getting triggered, you're not in your calm brain. Fawning is a big one. This happens all the time. They'll do something wrong and they get caught, and then they will immediately change the subject and say, I like your shoes. I like your dress. They're fawning because they're scared of the consequence. Floating is another one that happens. The teacher's trying to make eye contact, or, and they will just do this. I was in a classroom the other day, and this little guy, Daniel, hit somebody, and the teacher was like, Daniel, look at me. Daniel, look at me. And Daniel is doing this. He's like, I'm going to look at anything but you. So I'm floating. He's creating an alternate reality, right? So this is the symptoms of the scared brain. This is the symptoms of the emotional brain. So we have three parts to the brain: scared brain, which is a survival brain, emotional brain, and the learning brain. You cannot be in two brains at the same time. Either I'm scared or emotional, or I'm learning. I can't do all at the same time. So this looks different than the scared brain symptoms. The way you can tell the difference between the scared brain and the emotional brain is if you think to yourself, you're just doing that to get my attention. Yes, attention-seeking behavior is a relationship-seeking need. Attention-seeking behavior is a relationship-seeking need. So it looks different, and if you think that they are doing it to get your attention, then bingo, they are. That's what's happening. I know I spoke really fast, and the time has gone so fast. I have free resources. If you liked what you saw, you can download free resources. There's transforming challenging behaviors, there's attention and focus, there's a YouTube channel you can subscribe for. Every week I'm sending newsletters. It can be in your inbox with little tips about the brain, little tips to help. And it's all coming from the field, from what I'm doing in the behavior coaching. It's all relevant. It's happening in the real time. Any questions, any wonderings? I'll pause here. If anybody is wondering about anything we've talked about in this very short time.
We do have a question from Nicole, who's based in Australia, and she says that in Australia, we have after school care that works in partnership with schools if they're located on the same site. And she says that the school is asked to support their values as well as try to mold their curriculum. And currently they are being asked to support play-based learning. And she's asking what happens when those learning styles are conflicting, or like learning theologies are conflicting.
So the theologies could be conflicting, but here's what we need to remember about children and play. Children de-stress through play. Children make sense of the world through play. And so, but again, play, I have to be very clear. It's not directed play. It's not structured play. Play is when it's authentic, child-led play, and play for the sake of playing where they're feeling joyful. Not because a grown-up is telling you do this and this is how you play, right? So it's very important. If you're going towards play-based, I'm 100% confident that your behaviors will reduce, the stress will reduce. Even if the basic educational philosophies don't align, create more natural, authentic, child-led and child-directed play as much as you can, and you can't go wrong with that.
Lovely.
Any other questions?
We do have one I want to just address. We've got some questions about accessing the slides or the recording, and this session is being recorded, so I'll make sure to send this out to everyone tomorrow, as well as a copy of your certificate of attendance. So don't worry about that. And if you do have any questions, please reach out to
Yeah, bring
Prerna
it on. And
now.
I'm going to keep sharing some resources while you bring this on because I want to
Yes.
leave you with some good things. These are actually, I have an Amazon list that I've created. So I've created a link for everything
Amazing.
by the section: social, emotional, focus, attention, creative thinking, executive function. Like I've broken it down: diversity, stress, all of it. But I'm going to share some of these that really you could benefit if you have these tools in your classroom. We're going for more SEL, right? Social emotional learning. And there's specific things in your environment that can help. So this is Yoga Pretzels, easy peasy. It's on the Amazon link. As many books as you can bring in to label the emotions. So emotional literacy is what we're going for. The wide range of emotions we can give to our kiddos. If you can mention it, you can manage it. Everything feels less scary if you can mention it. And also using a wide range of emotions. You're frustrated, you're irritated, you're shamed, you're embarrassed, you're disappointed. Not just, this is a good one, one of my favorites. I am human. This talks about complex emotions like jealousy. Again, don't worry about the titles. If you go to my website, you go to the download resources, it's all there. It's easy. You can add, and Together We Grow .online is the website. But also if you just use the QR code, you can get there. But if not, no worries. Worrysaurus, children worry about lots of little things and they're unable to tell us. They hold all kinds of big
Mm.
things. This one is another one, Stompysaurus. When they get so angry,
Oh,
they go from 0 to 100. Yeah. Any other questions? Any other wonderings?
I do have one here from Lisa. She says, I have a child who displays attention-seeking behavior. They throw tantrums, often hit people after corrections, and yell. How do I approach this conversation with the parents?
Really good question. So we have to partner with the parents, but in all total honesty, what I'll be telling you is that we have zero control over the parents. Zero. So if the parents are willing and want to collaborate with you, great, go for it. If not, focus on what you can do in your program. And you will make huge changes inside your program if you can get the support from the parents. Sometimes parents are also under a lot of stress on their own and they don't have the bandwidth to take on any more stress from the school. So either they'll help you or they won't, but there's very practical things you can do in your program. And I just want to quickly mention that I'm about to launch a membership program starting in June. And the membership program comes in 3 levels and it's for schools. And your entire school, your entire staff can get coaching. If you come in at level 3, you can get 6 coaching sessions and you can bring questions just like this and I can give you practical suggestions and also new trainings. So if you're liking the training, there's new trainings. I'm inviting guest speakers, but I'm also doing the trainings. There'll be free resources to download. My hope is to create a small village, a virtual village, where we can support each other for stress and challenging behaviors and make it okay to talk about it. This is a topic that everybody feels like embarrassed and shy to talk about and admit, like, yeah, I have behaviors going on. But I just want to create a community where we support each other, no judgment, safe space. Let's help each other out because at the end of the day, what we are doing matters. And we need to help our children and we need to help our teachers. So training/coaching is the answer. That is the only way to do it. Training alone will not do it because the implementation rate is only 22%. But when you bring coaching, it goes up to 80% of implementation. So, think about that. If you're interested or curious, reach out and talk about it. It's cheaper than you think. It's having a consultant without paying a consultant's salary, and you can reduce staff burnout and staff turnover. Think about that. Like, it's a game changer, right? I don't know what time we have left, Sierra. I'm going to let you guide me. If you have
Yeah.
questions or not or whatever, let me know.
Yes. Well, I wanted to thank everyone for joining us today. Like I said, I'll make sure to send out the recording. I'll make sure to send out a link to Perna's website and resources, as well as your certificate of attendance for continuing education credits for joining us today. And one thing that you mentioned was partnering with the parents. And it'd be a shame if, I didn't talk a little bit about Line Leader. And so one thing that at Line Leader we find so important in that partnership between educators and parents is having a good way to actually communicate with the families that doesn't require teachers having to give out their personal cell phone numbers or having to download you know, a Google phone number, or everything having to come through the director and then go to the teacher. It just creates disjointed processes and leads to miscommunications, which is the last thing that anyone needs right now. And so at Line Leader, we're really excited about offering the first and only unified platform for the childcare space that includes everything from your lead management, waitlist management tools, to that essential parent engagement app, to the center management system that handles tuition, payment processing,
Amazing,
managing
right? All in one
curriculum.
place.
Exactly. So
I mean, Line Leader is amazing. Yeah,
thank
it's
you.
amazing. They have so many resources. Amazing.
Yes, we do. We do. And so I'd love, if anyone would like to learn more about Line Leader, like I said, we're the first and only unified platform for the childcare space. So it's one login for all the platforms you need to run your business. It's just one tool to train staff on, because again, there's so many things that everyone has to do every single day, and training staff on new platforms and tools is really the last thing you should be worrying
We
about.
don't want to stress them out. One more bit. Make
Exactly.
it easy. Make it easy.
Exactly. Exactly. So thank you again, Prerna, for joining us today. I'll make sure to share all those resources in our follow-up emails, as well as a
Thank
little bit
you.
more information about Line Leader. And if you'd like to learn more, before you get the email tomorrow, you can visit lineleader.com to learn more about us, or togetherwegrow.online to learn more about Prerna as well.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for joining,
Yes.
and have a wonderful week and go from stressful to joyful, guys. That's our goal.
Yes.
Stressful to joyful. That's what we're trying to do. Change the landscape for early childhood.
Yes. Thank you. Have a great one.
You too. Bye.